The spoon clinks against the porcelain, a tiny, sharp sound in the cathedral silence of our kitchen. It's a sound I've heard 1,000 times, a morning ritual. Mark stirring 2 sugars into his coffee, me with my black tea. The sun spills across the marble island, catching the diamond on my finger, a prism of light dancing on the white cabinets. It's a perfect morning. The kind you see in magazines. The kind I built, polished, and maintained for 15 years. He sets his spoon down, a deliberate, final sound. He doesn't look at me. He's staring at the steam rising from his cup, as if the future is written there. My stomach tightens. I know this stillness. It's the calm before the world ends. He clears his throat. "Elena," he says, his voice a low rumble that used to make me feel safe. Now it feels like the growl of a predator. "We need to talk about Tiffany." Tiffany. The name hangs in the air, thick and cloying, like cheap perfume. Tiffany, his 24-year-old assistant. Tiffany, the reason he's been coming home late with the smell of another woman's apartment clinging to his suits. Tiffany, the reason my perfect life is a lie. I don't say anything. I just watch him. I watch the way his jaw works, the way his eyes refuse to meet mine. I feel a strange sense of detachment, as if I'm floating above my own body, watching this scene unfold. She's pregnant, he says. He finally looks at me, and his eyes are not apologetic. They are expectant, challenging. It's a boy. A boy. We tried for a boy. We tried for any child, for 10 years. 10 years of charts, and doctors, and hollow disappointments that echoed in the empty rooms of this big, beautiful house. The silence stretches. I can hear the hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall. Each tick is a second of my life bleeding away. He takes a breath, the final plunge. She's feeling a little isolated. Her family is not supportive. And I was thinking she needs a baby shower. I stare at him. The words don't compute. They are just sounds, meaningless and absurd. A baby shower. For his mistress. And he continues, a hint of a smile playing on his lips, a cruel, triumphant little thing. I think it would be best if you hosted it. Here. In my home. The home I decorated. The home where I cried over every negative pregnancy test. The home where I planned a future with him that has just been incinerated. He wants me to host a party celebrating the child he is having with another woman. He wants me to smile and pour champagne and watch her open gifts for the baby that should have been mine. He's not just asking me to accept his infidelity. He's asking me to condone it, to celebrate it, to serve it canapés on a silver platter. My breath catches in my throat. The air is thick, I can't draw it in. The prism of light from my ring is blinding. The coffee in his cup is a swirling black hole. And in that moment, something inside me snaps. A fine, crystal thread that has been holding me together for months finally gives way. The world doesn't end with a bang. It ends with the clink of a spoon and a quiet, monstrous request. And in the wreckage, a new, cold clarity begins to form. I look at him, this stranger sitting across my kitchen island, and for the first time in a very long time, I see him. I see him clearly. And a single, dangerous thought takes root in the scorched earth of my heart. Okay, I'll host your party. If you've ever had a moment where the world just tilted off its axis, where everything you thought was true turned out to be a lie, tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're new here, please subscribe. Your support means more than you can possibly know. Our life, before Tiffany, was a carefully curated masterpiece of suburban success. I see it now for what it was, a stage, and I was the lead actress in a play I didn't know was a tragedy. We met in college. He was the ambitious business major with a killer smile and a confidence that bordered on arrogance, but at 20, it just seemed like charm. I was studying art history, lost in Renaissance paintings and the romantic notion of a life filled with beauty. He was my anchor to the real world. He promised me a life that was both beautiful and secure, a masterpiece of our own making. And for a while it was. Our first apartment was small, with peeling paint and a temperamental radiator, but it was ours. We'd spend weekends painting the walls, our laughter echoing in the empty rooms. We'd eat cheap takeout on the floor, planning our future on napkins. He was going to conquer the corporate world. I was going to open a small gallery. We were a team, Mark and Elena against the world. He'd hold my face in his hands and tell me, "You and me, Ellie. We're going to build an empire." I believed him. I believed in us with the fierce, unshakable faith of the young and in love. He was true to his word. His career took off like a rocket. The promotions came one after another, each one bringing a bigger salary, a more impressive title, and a larger, more opulent house. We moved from the small apartment to a starter home, then to the sprawling colonial on a tree-lined street where we live now. I put my gallery dreams on hold. "Just for a little while," he'd say. "Until we're more established. This house needs you, Ellie. You're the only one who can make it a home."
So I did.
I poured my artistic soul into our houses. I chose the paint colors, the furniture, the art that hung on the walls. I learned to cook gourmet meals, to host elegant dinner parties for his clients and colleagues. I was the perfect corporate wife. Gracious, beautiful, intelligent, but not intimidating. I was his greatest asset, he often told them, and I would blush and feel a swell of pride. I had helped build this life, this empire. It was our joint creation. Then came the trying for a baby. At first, it was exciting. A new project for us to tackle together. But months turned into a year, then 2, then 5. The excitement curdled into a quiet, gnawing anxiety. We saw specialists. We endured invasive tests and clinical procedures that stripped all the romance and intimacy from our marriage, replacing it with a cold, desperate hope. Each month was a cycle of that hope followed by the crushing weight of failure. Mark was supportive in his way. He would hold me when I cried, tell me it wasn't my fault, that we'd keep trying. But I saw the flicker of disappointment in his eyes. I felt him pulling away, brick by brick, building a wall around a part of himself I could no longer reach. The empty rooms of our massive house started to feel less like a canvas and more like a tomb. The nursery we'd painted a hopeful, sunny yellow remained empty, its door always closed. I filled the silence with work, with charity committees and elaborate hosting duties. I became a ghost in my own beautiful home, polishing the silver, arranging flowers, making sure everything was perfect on the surface, while underneath, I was cracking apart. The late nights at the office started about 2 years ago. At first, I didn't question it. He was ambitious, driven. That's what I loved about him. "Just a big project, babe," he'd say, kissing my forehead before heading back out after dinner. "It'll be worth it." Then came the business trips. More frequent, lasting longer. He'd come home smelling of hotel soap and a faint, unfamiliar perfume that he'd blame on the flight attendant. I would find receipts for dinners for 2, for jewelry I never received. When I'd confront him, he was a master of deflection. He'd get angry, accuse me of being paranoid, of not trusting him. He'd turn it around so effectively that I would end up apologizing, feeling guilty for my own suspicions. He was poisoning me with doubt, making me question my own sanity. It was a slow, meticulous campaign of psychological warfare, and I was losing. The name Tiffany first appeared on a credit card statement 6 months ago. A charge for a ridiculously expensive handbag from a boutique I'd never heard of. "A client gift," he'd said, not missing a beat. "You know how it is, Ellie. You have to keep them happy." I knew he was lying. The certainty was a cold stone in my gut. But I had no proof, and more than that, I had no fight left in me. What would I do? Leave? This life, this house, this identity as Mrs. Elena Vance, it was all I had. My own dreams had been packed away in boxes in the attic for so long, I wasn't sure I'd even recognize them. So I stayed. I chose to believe the lies because the truth was too terrifying to face. I polished the silver, smiled at the dinner parties, and pretended my world wasn't crumbling around me. I became an expert at pretending. And now here we are, in this sun-drenched kitchen, with his monstrous request hanging between us. He sees my silence as weakness, as acquiescence. He thinks he has me backed into a corner. He thinks I'll fold, just like I always have. He thinks I'll swallow my pain and my pride and host this pathetic party for his child bride, because what other choice do I have? He mistakes my shock for surrender. He doesn't see the ice forming in my veins. He doesn't see the actress leaving the stage. He doesn't see the woman who is about to burn his entire empire to the ground. He just sees his meek, accommodating wife. And that is going to be his first and his last mistake. The days that follow his announcement are a blur of surreal normality. He acts as if he's asked me to pass the salt, not to orchestrate the celebration of my own humiliation. He leaves for work each morning with a cheerful kiss on my cheek, his briefcase full of whatever lies he tells himself to justify his cruelty. I smile back. A brittle, fragile smile that feels like it might crack my face in two. I make his coffee. I pick up his dry cleaning. I play the part of the devoted wife, because for my plan to work, he cannot suspect a thing. He has to believe I am broken. He has to believe he has won. The first step is to agree. I wait 2 days. 2 days of agonizing silence where I let him sweat, let him wonder if he's pushed me too far. On the third night, as we're sitting in the living room, the television flickering with some meaningless show, I turn to him. I've practiced my speech in the mirror. My voice must be steady, resigned. Mark, I say, my voice a soft whisper. About the shower. I'll do it. He looks up, a flicker of surprise followed by a wave of triumphant relief. He reaches for my hand, his touch feeling alien and cold against my skin. Ellie, I knew you'd understand.
This is for the best.
It shows everyone how mature we're being, how we're handling this with grace.
Grace.
He uses that word as if it's a shield for his depravity. I let him hold my hand, my own fingers limp and unresponsive. There are conditions, I say, keeping my eyes fixed on the television screen. I do it my way. My guest list, my decorations, my menu. You don't interfere. You and Tiffany, you just show up. He squeezes my hand. Of course, babe. Whatever you want. I trust you completely. This is so good of you. So big of you. I feel the bile rise in my throat. I pull my hand away under the pretense of sipping my tea. I'll need a budget, I say, my tone all business. And I'll need her contact information to get her friends' details for the invitations. He beams, utterly oblivious. He thinks this is me taking control of my own surrender, making the best of a terrible situation. He doesn't realize I'm not planning a party. I'm planning a war. He immediately transfers a ridiculously generous amount of money into my personal account. Spare no expense, he says grandly. Make it beautiful, oh, I will. It will be a day no one will ever forget. The next morning, I receive a text from a number I don't recognize. Hi Elena, this is Tiffany. Mark said you wanted to chat about the shower? I'm so excited. Let me know what you need. Smiley face. The smiley face feels like a tiny, digital dagger. I stare at it, my thumb hovering over the screen. My first instinct is a white-hot rage. I want to type back a string of obscenities. I want to tell this girl exactly what I think of her. But I don't. I take a deep breath, channeling the ice in my veins. I need her on my side. Or, at least, I need her to be as unsuspecting as Mark. Hi Tiffany, I type back, my fingers stiff. Lovely to hear from you. Yes, I'm thrilled to be hosting. Could you please send me a list of your friends and family you'd like to invite? I want to make sure everyone special is there for your big day. Her reply is almost instantaneous. A gushing, emoji-laden message with a list of about 20 names. I save them to a file. This is the official guest list. The decoy. The real list is going to take some work. My first battle is with myself. The nights are the worst. I lie in our king-sized bed, the space beside me cold even when Mark is in it, and I am haunted by the ghosts of our past. I remember his proposal on a bridge in Venice, the way he got down on one knee and told me he couldn't imagine a single day of his life without me in it. I remember the day we brought our golden retriever puppy, Gus, home, and Mark fell asleep on the floor with the tiny ball of fur curled up on his chest. I remember the good times, the laughter, the love I thought was real. And I weep. I cry silently into my pillow, mourning the man I thought I married, mourning the life I thought I had. The grief is a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. There are moments when I falter. When I look at the divorce lawyer's card on my nightstand and think, just run. Just pack a bag, take the dog, and disappear. It would be easier.
Cleaner.
But then I see Mark's smug, triumphant face in my mind's eye, and I hear his words. It shows everyone how mature we're being. He wants to control the narrative. He wants to paint me as the gracious, understanding wife who steps aside for the new, fertile woman. He wants to erase me quietly, without a fuss. And the thought of letting him win, of letting him write the final chapter of our story, is what fuels me. The grief hardens into resolve. The tears dry up, replaced by a cold, burning purpose. He wants a show? I'll give him a masterpiece. A Greek tragedy. And I will be the one holding the pen. The investigation begins in the place all marital secrets hide, the home office. Mark has always been meticulously organized, but also arrogant. He believes he's smarter than everyone, especially me. He wouldn't think I'd have the nerve or the intelligence to dig into his private affairs. One evening, when he's out for a late meeting with clients, I go into his office. The room smells of him, his expensive cologne, leather, and self-satisfaction. I sit in his large, imposing chair and turn on his computer. I've known his password for years. It's the name of his first dog, Champ. The irony is not lost on me. I don't know what I'm looking for at first. I just start digging. I go through old emails, archived files, social media accounts he thinks I don't know about. It's a slow, painstaking process. Hours bleed into one another. My eyes burn from the screen's glare. But then I find it. A folder, buried deep within a subfolder labeled Old Tax Docs. It's titled Miscellaneous. Inside are dozens of files. Scanned receipts, hotel confirmations, flight itineraries. And names. So many names. There's a Jessica from a conference in Chicago 3 years ago. A Chloe from his team-building retreat in Scottsdale last year. A Sarah, who appears to be a recurring expense, with monthly payments sent to her via a discreet app for consulting fees. Each name is a new betrayal, a fresh stab to the heart. It's not just Tiffany. It was never just Tiffany. She's not the exception. She's just the one who got pregnant. I feel a wave of nausea. I am not just a wife who has been cheated on. I am the CEO of a 15-year franchise, and I'm just now realizing my husband has been setting up competing branches in every city he visits. I start a spreadsheet. It feels clinical, detached, which is the only way I can get through this without shattering into a million pieces. I create columns: name, date, location, evidence. I cross-reference the receipts with his work calendar. The patterns are sickeningly clear. The late nights were dinners with Chloe. The golf weekend with the guys was a trip to Napa with a woman named Madison. My life, our life, has been a meticulously crafted lie, and I have been its unwitting star. The hardest part is finding them. Some are easy. A quick search of a name and a city on social media often yields a smiling profile picture, a woman blissfully unaware that she is just one of a crowd. Others are harder. For a name like Sarah, I have to go deeper. I use the transaction IDs from the payment app, cross-referencing them with public records until I find a match. I become a private investigator in my own life. I spend my days smiling, planning a pastel-themed baby shower, discussing catering options and floral arrangements with a saccharine sweet party planner. I spend my nights in the dark, hunched over the computer, a digital archaeologist unearthing the ruins of my marriage. The list grows. Jessica,
Chloe, Sarah,
Madison, a Sophie from London, an Isabella from Miami. 10, then 15, then 20 names. Each one a story of Mark's deceit. He didn't just cheat. He curated these women. He lied to them, too. I can see from old, saved chat logs that he told some of them he was in a loveless, sexless marriage. He told others he was already separated, just waiting for the divorce to be finalized. He sold them the same dream he sold me, just in a condensed, travel-sized version. The rage that has been simmering inside me boils over, but it's a cold rage now. It's focused. It's not just about my pain anymore. It's about theirs too. These women aren't my enemies. They are victims just like me. He used us all. He played us against each other, isolating us in our own secret bubbles of his affection, making each one feel special while he was simply running a playbook. My plan shifts. It's no longer just about exposing him. It's about vindication. For all of us. I take a deep breath and compose the first email. My hands are shaking. This is the point of no return. I choose the first name on my list, a woman named Catherine from 5 years ago. I found a receipt for a couple's massage and a weekend at a boutique hotel just outside the city. A weekend he told me he was at a mandatory leadership seminar. The subject line is simple. Mark Vance. The body of the email is short, direct. Catherine, my name is Elena Vance. I am Mark's wife. I believe you knew him in the spring of 2018. I am writing to you because I have recently discovered I am not the only woman he has betrayed. I am hosting an event on October 15th to hold him accountable. I know this is a strange and perhaps unwelcome request, but I would be honored if you would attend. Your presence would mean a great deal.
Sincerely, Elena.
I attach a single piece of evidence, the hotel receipt with her name on it, next to his. Proof that I'm not just some crazy, jealous wife. Proof that I know. I stare at the screen for a long time, my finger hovering over the send button. This is it. The first stone has been cast. I close my eyes and I click send. Then I copy the message, change the name, and send it again. And again. And again. 23 emails sent out into the darkness, each one a tiny flare of hope, a call to arms. Now all I can do is wait and pray that I am not alone. The first reply comes less than an hour later. It's from Catherine. My heart hammers against my ribs as I open the email. I expect anger, denial, accusations. Instead, the message is 3 words long. Tell me when. A flood of relief, so powerful it makes me dizzy, washes over me. I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I lean back in Mark's expensive leather chair, and for the first time in months, a real, genuine smile touches my lips. The army is gathering. The war has begun. The replies trickle in over the next few days. They are a kaleidoscope of human emotion. Some women are furious, their words practically spitting off the screen. They tell me stories of how Mark pursued them, how he promised them the world, how he ghosted them without a word when he was done. A woman named Chloe, one of his former junior colleagues, writes a multi-page essay detailing how he manipulated her, dangling a promotion in front of her while preying on her ambition. She quit her job a month after he ended things, her career and self-esteem in tatters. Others are heartbroken. A woman named Isabella from Miami confesses she truly thought she loved him. He had told her his wife was terminally ill, that he was trapped by duty, and that as soon as she passed, he and Isabella would be together. She sends me a picture of a locket he gave her with a picture of his dog Gus inside, the same picture that sits on my own bedside table. My stomach churns. He didn't just lie. He recycled his sentiments, his gestures, his entire persona. Some are ashamed. They apologize to me, as if they were the ones who broke a vow. I write back to each of them, telling them the same thing. This is not your fault. He is a predator, and we were all his prey. The shame belongs to him, and it's time he felt its weight. Not everyone agrees to come. A few are too hurt, too afraid. One woman, married now with children of her own, begs me to delete her information and never contact her again. I respect her wishes, removing her from my list with a pang of sadness. But for every woman who declines, 2 more agree. They are hungry for a justice they never thought they'd get. I create a secure, anonymous group chat. A digital war room. I call it the Vance Vindication. Here, we share our stories. The similarities are chilling. The same pet names, Sunshine, my beautiful girl, the same restaurants he took us to, the same jokes he told, the same promises he whispered in the dark. Reading their accounts is like reading the diary of my own marriage, but written in a dozen different handwritings. The pain is immense, a shared trauma that bonds us together in a way I never could have imagined. We were all cast in the same role, in the same play, just on different nights. A leader emerges from the group. Her name is Jessica. She was one of the first from a conference in Chicago nearly a decade ago. She's a lawyer now, sharp, cynical, and utterly brilliant. She sees what I'm doing not just as personal revenge, but as a strategic operation. Elena, she writes in the chat, emotional satisfaction is good, but legal and financial ruin is better. Does he have a morals clause in his employment contract? Has he ever used company funds for his extracurriculars? Her questions open up a new front in my investigation. I spent another night in his office, this time digging into his corporate expense reports. And there it is. Flights, hotels, lavish dinners with clients, who I now know were his mistresses. He'd been funding his affairs with company money. He was not just a liar and a cheat. He was a thief. I download everything, every report, every doctored receipt, and send it all to Jessica. The chat buzzes with activity. He flew me to New York on the company dime, one woman writes. He bought me a laptop with his corporate card and told me to mark it as office supplies, adds another. Jessica is methodical. This is it, she confirms. This is the kill shot. Public humiliation is one thing. Embezzlement is another. We've got him. Meanwhile, the baby shower planning continues. I am the very picture of the devoted, if heartbroken, wife. I meet with the caterer, choosing mini quiches and pastel macarons. I hire a string quartet to play soft, classical music. I order custom invitations on thick, creamy cardstock, embossed with a silver rattle. The official invitations go out to Tiffany's friends and Mark's family. His mother, an overbearing woman who has always treated me with a thinly veiled disdain, calls me. Elena, dear, she says, her voice dripping with false sympathy. I just heard what you're doing for that lovely girl, Tiffany. It's so brave of you to rise above it all. Mark is so lucky to have such an understanding wife. Understanding. The word is an insult. I'm just doing what's right for the family, Carol, I say, my voice as sweet as poison. We have to welcome this new baby with open arms, don't we? She eats it up. She has no idea she's accepting an invitation to her own son's public execution. Tiffany is equally clueless. She texts me constantly, sending me ultrasound pictures, asking my opinion on nursery colors. Do you think a soft gray or a gentle beige would be better? She asks. I want to scream. I want to tell her that I painted our nursery a sunny yellow, a color that now mocks me from behind a closed door. Instead, I text back, gray is lovely, very chic and modern. I am her confidant, her party planner, her friend. She trusts me implicitly. The guilt is a bitter pill, but I swallow it down. She is a casualty of his war, not mine. But she is also the bait in my trap, and the trap is about to be sprung. A week before the party, I hit a snag. A crisis that threatens to derail everything. One of the women, a younger girl named Madison who Mark dated for a few months last year, gets cold feet. She sends a frantic message to the group chat. I can't do this. My parents know Mark. My dad plays golf with him. If I'm there, it will destroy my family. I'm so sorry, I have to back out. Panic flares in the group. Her defection could cause a chain reaction. If one person backs out, others might follow. Mark has a way of intimidating people, even from a distance. But then Jessica steps in. Madison, she writes, her words calm and firm. We understand your fear, but think about what he did to you. He used you, and he is using your family's connection to him to silence you. You don't have to speak. You don't have to do anything but be there. Your presence is your power. Stand with us. Don't let him win again. The chat is silent for a long, tense hour. I hold my breath, staring at the screen. My entire plan hangs in the balance, dependent on the courage of a 22-year-old girl I've never even met. Then 3 dots appear. Madison is typing. "You're right," she writes. "I'm in. I'll be there. For all of us." A collective sigh of relief ripples through our digital sisterhood. The army has held its line. The crisis is averted. But it's a stark reminder of how fragile this all is. How much I'm asking of these women. I'm asking them to reopen old wounds, to face their manipulator, to stand in a room and be counted. The night before the shower, I can't sleep. I walk through my house, the house that has become a gilded cage. I trace the patterns on the wallpaper, run my hand along the cool marble of the fireplace. Every object holds a memory, a ghost of a life I once loved. I stand in the doorway of the yellow nursery, the door I haven't opened in years.
I turn the knob and push it open.
The room is exactly as we left it. A rocking chair in the corner, a crib assembled against the wall, a mobile of fluffy white sheep hanging from the ceiling, collecting dust. A wave of grief, so pure and so potent it brings me to my knees, washes over me. I collapse onto the floor, my body shaking with silent, racking sobs. I cry for the baby I never had. I cry for the woman I used to be, the one who believed in love and forever. I cry for the 15 years I gave to a man who was a mirage. I let it all out. The pain, the anger, the sorrow. I let it pour out of me until I am empty, hollowed out. And then I stand up. I wipe my tears. I look around the dusty, hopeful room one last time, and I close the door. I am done mourning. Tomorrow I am not a victim. I am not a scorned wife. Tomorrow I am a reckoning. The day of the party arrives, bright and cruelly beautiful. The sky is a perfect, cloudless blue. Our backyard has been transformed. White tents are set up on the manicured lawn. Tables draped in crisp linen are adorned with towering arrangements of white hydrangeas and baby's breath. The string quartet is softly playing Vivaldi. It looks serene, elegant, a picture of domestic bliss. It looks like a lie, which is, of course, the point. I'm dressed in a simple, blood-red dress. It's a statement. I am not in mourning. I am not trying to be invisible. I am the lady of the house, and today, this house has teeth. The first guests to arrive are Tiffany's. A gaggle of young women in floral dresses, their laughter high-pitched and excited. They bring brightly wrapped gifts and coo over the decorations. "Oh, Elena, this is just breathtaking," one of them gushes. "You've done such an amazing job. You're being so wonderful about all this." I just smile, a placid, Mona Lisa smile that reveals nothing. Then Mark's family arrives. His mother, Carol, air kisses my cheek, her eyes scanning the party with an appraising look. "Well, you've certainly spared no expense," she says, a backhanded compliment if I've ever heard one. Mark was right. "You are handling this with such class." His father gives me an awkward pat on the shoulder, his eyes full of a pity that makes my skin crawl. They all see me as a pathetic figure, a doormat.
Good.
Let them. Finally, Mark and Tiffany make their grand entrance. He is beaming, his arm possessively around her waist. He's wearing his most expensive suit, playing the part of the proud father-to-be. Tiffany is glowing. She's wearing a white, lacy dress that accentuates her swollen belly. She looks young and happy and completely oblivious. She rushes over to me and gives me a hug. It's like being embraced by a cloud of cloying floral perfume and naivety. "Elena, I can't believe you did all this," she whispers, her eyes shining with genuine tears. "It's the most beautiful party I've ever seen. Thank you. Thank you so much. You deserve it," I say, and for a moment I almost mean it. She didn't ask for this. She's just a pawn in his sick game. But my sympathy is a luxury I can't afford right now. The party gets underway. Champagne flows. Guests mingle. Mark is in his element, holding court, accepting congratulations, his chest puffed out with pride. He thinks this is his victory lap. He thinks he has successfully managed the most difficult merger of his life, seamlessly transitioning from the old wife to the new one without any costly fallout. He thinks he's a genius. He has no idea that the real guests of honor have not yet arrived. At precisely 2 o'clock, as per our plan, they begin to appear. The first is Catherine. She's older now, with streaks of gray in her dark hair, but I recognize her from the photos. She's dressed in a sharp, black pantsuit. She walks in alone, her head held high, and her eyes scan the crowd until they lock on Mark. I see a flicker of recognition, then confusion, then dawning horror in his eyes. He pales slightly. He whispers something to Tiffany and starts to move toward the bar, away from Catherine. But it's too late. The next to arrive is Chloe, the young woman whose career he nearly destroyed. She looks nervous, but determined. She is followed by Madison, the one who almost backed out, who walks in flanked by 2 of the other women, a small phalanx of support. They don't say anything. They just find a spot on the lawn and stand there, watching. One by one they arrive. Isabella, the heartbroken one from Miami, flew in this morning. Sarah, the consultant, a half-dozen others. My army. They are all different ages, different styles, different lives, but they are united by one thing. The man who is now frozen by the bar, his champagne flute halfway to his lips, his face the color of ash. The atmosphere in the garden begins to shift. The light-hearted chatter falters. The other guests, Tiffany's friends and Mark's family, can feel the change. They look from the newcomers to Mark, a silent question in their eyes. Who are these women? Why are they all staring at Mark with such intensity? The string quartet seems to be playing a funeral dirge. Tiffany, bless her ignorant heart, notices nothing. She is busy opening a mountain of gifts, exclaiming over tiny baby shoes and ridiculously expensive strollers. But Mark's mother, Carol, is no fool. I see her eyes, sharp and suspicious, darting from face to face. She knows something is wrong. She walks over to me, her voice a low, urgent hiss. Elena, who are all these people? I don't recognize any of them. I give her my serene smile. Friends, I say sweetly. Just some old friends of the family. They came to wish Mark well. The final guest arrives. Jessica. She's not dressed for a party. She's in a dark, severe suit, carrying a leather briefcase. She walks straight past the gift table, straight past the bar, and stops directly in front of me. She gives me a slight, almost imperceptible nod. It's time. I pick up a delicate crystal glass and tap it gently with a spoon. The clear, ringing sound cuts through the tense silence. Every eye in the garden turns to me. Mark looks like a trapped animal. He knows. He doesn't know how, but he knows. Hello, everyone. I begin, my voice calm and clear, amplified by the sudden stillness. Thank you all for coming to celebrate such a momentous occasion. As many of you know, I'm Elena, Mark's wife, and I've been asked to say a few words. I pause, letting the tension build. I look at Tiffany, who is smiling up at me expectantly. I look at Carol, whose face is a mask of suspicion. And then I look at my husband. Mark and I have been married for 15 years, I say, my voice steady. 15 years of building a life, a home, an empire, he used to call it. And Mark is a builder. He is a man of immense appetites. For success, for life, and, as it turns out, for variety. A nervous titter runs through the crowd. Mark is shaking his head slightly, a silent plea for me to stop. I ignore him. He wanted this party to be a symbol of a modern, blended family. A celebration of new life. And I agreed. I think it's so important to celebrate all of Mark's creations. Which is why I took the liberty of expanding the guest list. I gesture with my hand, a sweeping motion that encompasses the silent women standing on the edges of the party. I'd like to introduce you to some of Mark's other projects. This is Catherine. They had a wonderful weekend together in the spring of 2018, while I thought he was at a leadership seminar. And over here is Chloe. Mark was her mentor. He mentored her very, very closely. And the lovely Isabella, who flew all the way from Miami. Mark told her I was dying, and that they'd be together soon. I must say, for a terminally ill woman, I'm feeling remarkably well today. With each name, a gasp ripples through the crowd. Tiffany's smile has vanished, replaced by a look of utter, bewildered devastation. Her hand is clutching her stomach. Mark is frozen, his face a grotesque mask of terror. His empire is crumbling around him, and all he can do is watch. There's Sarah and Madison and Sophie and so many more. I continue, my voice gaining strength with every word. Mark is nothing if not a prolific builder. He built a life with me. He built a future with Tiffany. And he built a web of lies that stretched across continents and years, trapping dozens of intelligent, beautiful, trusting women. He made us all feel special. But it turns out, we were just items in his collection. I turn my gaze fully on him, the man I loved, the man who has become my monster. You asked me to host this party to show my grace, my maturity, but what you were really asking for was my silence, my complicity. You wanted me to help you bury your secrets so you could start fresh. But your secrets, Mark, are not just yours. They belong to all of us.
And we're done keeping them for you. Silence.
A profound, echoing silence hangs over the perfect garden. The string quartet has stopped playing. The only sound is a soft sob coming from Tiffany. And then, the final act. Jessica steps forward, opening her briefcase. Mark Vance, she says, her voice ringing with legal authority. You are being served. She hands him a thick manila envelope. Those are divorce papers. Your assets have been frozen, pending a full investigation into your marital and corporate finances. She then turns to his father, who is the CEO of the company where Mark works. Mr. Vance, she says, handing him another, even thicker envelope. This is a formal complaint filed on behalf of 17 women, detailing your son's serial abuse of his position and his embezzlement of company funds for personal use. We have receipts, emails, and sworn affidavits. I'd advise you to get your legal team on the line. Mark's father stares at the envelope as if it's a venomous snake. Carol, his mother, lets out a small, strangled cry. Mark doesn't even look at the papers in his hand. He just stares at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of pure hatred and disbelief. He thought he was in control. He thought he was the master of his universe. But his universe has just collapsed into a black hole of his own making. I walk over to the gift table, where a 3-tiered cake sits, decorated with the words, "Congratulations on your new adventure." I pick up the cake knife. I don't cut a slice. I look at Mark, at the ruins of his life laid bare on my perfect lawn, and I give him one last, serene smile. Then I walk away, leaving him in the wreckage. The party is over. The aftermath is quiet. Eerily so. The house, which only hours ago was filled with tension and drama, is now cavernously empty. The party guests scattered like startled birds after Jessica's bombshell. Mark's family hustled him and a weeping Tiffany into a car and sped away without a single word to me. The caterers, professionals to the end, cleared everything away with quiet efficiency, leaving the lawn pristine, as if nothing had ever happened. But everything has changed. I am alone, with only Gus for company. He rests his head on my lap, sensing my turmoil, his warm presence a comforting anchor in the storm. I sit on the sofa in my blood-red dress, a glass of whiskey in my hand, and just breathe. For the first time in months, I feel like I can actually fill my lungs. The weight I've been carrying, the crushing burden of his lies and my silence, is gone. It's been replaced by a strange, hollow lightness. It's not triumph I feel. Not exactly. There's no joy in destroying a life, even one that deserved it. There is only a grim, cold satisfaction. The satisfaction of a debt finally being paid. I think of the look on his face, the utter shock, the crumbling of his arrogance into pure, pathetic fear. He never saw it coming. He was so convinced of my weakness, of his own superiority, that the possibility of me fighting back, let alone orchestrating such a complete and total takedown, never even entered his mind. He underestimated me. They all did. My phone buzzes. It's the group chat, the Vance vindication. It's flooded with messages. Did you see his face? Priceless. Jessica, you are my hero. Elena, I don't know how to thank you. I feel like I can finally breathe again. A message from Jessica herself pops up. Phase 1 complete. Now the real work begins. The legal battle will be messy, but we have him cornered. He'll settle. He can't afford for this to go public. Another from Chloe. My old boss just called me. Mark has been suspended, pending an internal investigation. They're taking it seriously. And one from Isabella. I'm at the airport, about to fly home. I feel sad, but also free. Thank you for giving us a voice. Thank you for making us a we instead of a bunch of me's. I read their words, and something warm unfolds in my chest. I didn't just get revenge. I got justice. Not just for me, but for them. We took our individual stories of pain and betrayal and wove them into a tapestry of strength, a net so strong it caught a monster. These women, once my rivals in a competition I didn't know I was in, have become my sisters. We are bound by a strange, shared history, forged in the fires of one man's ego. The days turn into weeks. The legal proceedings are exactly as Jessica predicted, messy but swift. Mark's lawyers try to paint me as a vindictive, scorned woman, but the mountain of evidence is irrefutable. The 17 affidavits, the expense reports, the sheer, undeniable pattern of his behavior. His company, desperate to avoid a public scandal, pressures him to settle quickly and quietly. He loses everything. His job, his reputation, his carefully constructed image. I get the house, a significant portion of his assets, and most importantly, my freedom. I hear through the grapevine that Tiffany had the baby, a little boy. She left Mark shortly after the party, taking their son and moving back to her hometown to be with her family. I can't find it in me to hate her. I hope she finds peace. I hope her son grows up to be nothing like his father. I sell the house. It's too full of ghosts. I pack up my things, keeping only what truly matters. My art books, some old photographs of my parents and Gus. I stand in the empty living room, the afternoon sun slanting through the big windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. It's just a house now. The stage is empty. Its power over me is broken. I use the settlement money to finally do what I should have done 15 years ago. I buy a small, light-filled space in the city and I open my gallery. I call it Phoenix. It's a place for emerging female artists, a space for their voices to be seen and heard. It's small, but it's mine. Every brushstroke on the walls, every piece of art I choose to hang, is a reclamation of the woman I was before Mark. Sometimes late at night, when the gallery is quiet and the city lights twinkle outside the big front window, I think about him. I don't feel anger anymore. I don't even feel hatred. I just feel a profound, bottomless pity. He had everything, a wife who loved him, a beautiful home, a successful career. And he threw it all away because it wasn't enough. He needed more. He needed constant validation, an endless supply of new admiration to fill the empty space inside him. His empire wasn't a testament to his strength, but to his weakness. My life is smaller now, but infinitely more real. My friends are the women from the group chat. We talk regularly. We support each other. Jessica helped Chloe start her own consulting firm. Isabella is dating someone new, a kind man who knows her whole story and loves her for it. We are all survivors, marked by the same fire, but not consumed by it. We are rising from the ashes. Last week, a young artist came into the gallery. She was nervous, clutching her portfolio to her chest. Her work was raw and powerful, and full of a pain I recognized. I offered her a show. Her first one. Seeing the look of hope and gratitude on her face was a feeling more satisfying than any revenge. It felt like healing. It felt like a new beginning. My new adventure. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to find the strength to burn down an old life to build a new one, I'd love to hear your version in the comments. Thanks for being here. Subscribing helps bring more of these stories to life.